Our guest today, it may have been a kid, but he was making some very powerful friends and would begin this year to chart a course to, can we say wrestling superstardom?
Say whatever you want.
Can we say wrestling political superstardom as well?
Say, of course you can.
It's Sean Waltman. He's going to take us back to 1994.
I do my best.
Suitable partner for you?
Oh, God, yeah. Are you kidding me?
You were able to go where you wanted to go?
Oh, yeah. He was a fantastic partner. I mean, he really taught me a lot. I learned a lot working with him, being partners with him. I learned a lot about tag team wrestling.
Had you watched him?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody had.
This is a 1 week title run.
Right.
How was this proposed to you and why as a 1 week title run?
I think it was just something to, I think it was like part experiment. Because, okay, here's the thing. At that point, Vince was, he was already indicted on the federal charges. And he was taking into consideration the fact that he might be incarcerated. So he brought in guys like Bill Watts and Jerry Jarrett, to see how they would do. God forbid Vince had to go to jail for, extended length of time. So this was a Jerry Jarrett idea, according to Jerry.
Just to kind of try you guys out?
Jerry thought he saw something in us. And, it wasn't something that he got behind, an idea that he got behind, coming in. And it worked. I mean, it wasn't, to me, it didn't take a genius to figure out it would work, but.
What could I see, even as Jerry Jarrett, giving you guys 1 week?
I don't know about the 1 week thing. I don't get that part. And this, we lose the titles. In the last match, we lost them in the main event. Like, it wasn't the main event, but it was the last match that night at the Garden. So we made the people go home pissed, and we didn't even lose them on TV.
Could it have been a last-minute decision, or were you told in advance? Listen, this is just gonna be a quick thing, guys. You're gonna have this for a week, and I'm gonna take it back.
Not really. Like, it was kind of. It wasn't. There was no, definite stamp put on it one way or another. I forget who I was doing it with. It might have been Adam Baum or something. I was doing that spinning head scissors thing that I used to do with Jerry Lynn a lot. And just, the guy wasn't used to doing it. And ended up doing some damage to my medial collateral ligament. And, looking back, it wasn't a huge injury, but at the time I'd never, injured a knee before. So when it went out, that was an odd, really icky feeling.
Were you carted out?
Yeah, I was carted out in a stretcher, and Tony Hom, Ludwig Borga, was hurt that night too. So we both were in the same ambulance on the way to the hospital. We didn't have two ambulances because Ivan Putski commandeered the other one. He figured it was more important that he get a ride back to the hotel.
Ivan Putski?
Yeah, sure. Why not, right? Fuck us. But I do remember, talking with Brad about the whole, angle with Owen and how they, were planning on doing that, and, how they were trying to really, really shine Owen up nice, before he had the title match with Brad, or before he had the Mania match with Brad.
Right. Is he someone that you thought could run with it?
Yeah, but I think I don't think a lot of people thought it was going to do as good as it did, to be honest with you.
Workers or fans?
Maybe workers.
Because the criticism was that
maybe Owen wasn't, a big enough star or whatever. But, obviously he was.
Big enough in popularity or skills?
Skills and, not so much popularity, but at that point he had turned heel anyway, so you don't got to worry as much about getting cheered. It's a lot less stress, man, when you're a fucking heel.
Most people prefer. right?
Well, especially when you're coming into a place, you know, you don't want to come in as a baby face and have people like half-ass shitting on you, you know?
Is the genesis of this idea entirely Brett's?
That's a good question. I can't remember. I think it was. I think it was.
Is that maybe why it was met with a little eye rolling too? Oh, okay, so this is who's going to be at the top of the card now, his brother.
It wasn't that. We were happy for Owen.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just like, I just think there was a lot of uncertainties as far as business goes back at that time.
That's true.
Business was soft. You know, I mean, we can look back with fond memories on this stuff, but, you know, try being on the road at that time and getting a draw and then no fucking money on your pay when you get your check in the mail. So, I mean, it was, you know, we might have been the big time, but we were still struggling. The whole him going up into the
Yeah, a little bit of silliness.
a little bit, but like people got it. You know, it was pushed for back then. It was stretching it, but you know, it was WWF, and you know,
Is this?
I think that was okay. It was the whole, you know, Papa Shango and the Ultimate Warrior spewing up shit and, you know, all that stuff that was a little over the top.
Pushed it a
for
little
me
too much.
personally.
Yeah. This is when Mark was taking time off for a baby? Is that what the...
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Gunner was already born at that time, I think.
Okay.
But Mark was going through a lot of nagging injuries. He was working through a shit that nobody would even be allowed to work through these days.
Right.
You can't even walk through the curtain into the ring in the shape that Taker, half of us were, you know, back then. It was obvious that, you know, the powers that be, or whatever, how you want to put it, were behind Lex. I mean, I don't know, you know, first clue might have been the big fucking boss. You know, in the aircraft carrier. And, I mean,
That went over well.
you know, it was a good, honest effort. I'll say that. You know, and it was just it just wasn't Lex.
That was already 93, though. But
That's true, yeah.
Why now have
There were
to
still,
have
though.
Brett?
Well, here was the deal. They were still, you know, Vince was still, you know, Luger. We want to shove Luger. Meanwhile, the people were saying something different. They wanted Brett. And Luger even, I remember coming back from the ring after they had like a 6-man or a tag match or something, and it was Brett and Luger on the same team. And, you know, Brett does his wah, you know, entrance, and he never did. You never see me go to the corners. Like, everybody obligatory goes to the corners, right? I never did that because I remember Brett telling me everybody does that, and he always just went to the middle of the ropes, right? Raised a hand. It was different. Nobody else, you know, everybody else going to the fucking corners. But Luger goes to the corner and yells a big old yell, and you could hear a fucking echo come back, you know? And even Lex acknowledged it when he come back. You know, I said, you know, people have spoken, you know?
Wow.
And, you know, that was when, you know, the title was given to, the championship was given to Brett instead of Lex.
Safe to say his star-making moment,
Yes,
and deservedly so.
I believe so. Yeah. Kev was like, you know, when he first came to work for Vince, he was really like not smooth at all. And I mean, it was a motherfucker working with him. Because I had some of his first matches, and they were really cement mixers, man.
All that time as Oz didn't...
Oh, fuck me.
Okay.
Whew.
So, okay, well, that brings up a good point then. So now is anyone going, him?
Yeah. Yeah, the smart ones. You fucking, the people tell you, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't understand sometimes, you know, in our industry, we're so worried about trying to, like, program the people when they're the ones that tell us what they want, you know? And if you just let them tell you what they want, like, it makes it a lot easier. for everybody.
So
You
there's
know,
no
instead of trying to
inkling.
shove something down somebody's fucking throat.
Well, that's Vince's tactic. But so there's no inkling on your part or many of the talent's part that this guy can go as far as Kevin did at this point.
Well, within
as
the
just-
car, within the car, we knew.
You were often put in with potential hires, and you would kind of come out and give the thumbs up or the thumbs down, right?
They were already hired by then.
Oh, okay. So when someone was,
I never
starting-
had tryout matches with guys. They were already hired.
So it wasn't people they were considering; they were already. But they would turn to you for your.
It was just on how far they were going to go.
Was this a formal? Like, would Vince turn to you for this, or were you just with the other boys saying? This
Both. It was just that was the, and then I mean it wasn't planned that way. It just ended up being my position in the company.
And what were you
You
looking
know?
for in these guys?
Timing, just the fact that we were on the same page. You know that they comprehended the way a match works, and a lot of it's just the timing aspect of
The
it.
physical.
Yeah, it's the physical, but it's the, just like, for instance, say like a 1 second pause and something could make all the difference in, how big a reaction you get. Things like that.
So it was personality you were gauging.
That too. It was just, it was overall, the whole recipe. And, every recipe is a little different. So, I mean, whenever like we talk about something like that, it always goes back to like the Shane Douglas thing, well, I guess, he had his matches with me and they weren't very good. I worked with Shane after that when he was way better than he was when he went to come in for Vince that first time, or the only time. Sorry.
Right. The Dean Douglas.
Yeah, well, and now he had some shit working against him. That was one of them. That gimmick was brutal. I mean, fucking rotten. And you do the best with what you're given, but I mean, come on.
But the physical was off too.
Yeah, and he was like pretty high impact. We're performing at a pretty high level, and you got to be ready to go when you go back then.
Is there talk about this in the locker room? Can't imagine there wouldn't be. at the
Yeah,
time.
because I mean, it was like first Vince got charged, and then it was a few months later, and there's that with Jerry. It was like PR wise, it was a really tough time
Is this
for
something
the industry.
King had a reputation for? Like a well-known, when you pass an 11-year-old girl at the guardrail, say, "Oh, there's Jerry's fans," or did this catch people off guard?
It didn't seem like it caught anybody off guard, but I mean, there's always stories that go around about people, until they are stories, until you actually
Are in court?
or in court or fucking or witness to something,
Were you witness to anything?
Never, no.
Mel Phillips with the feet. Were you witness? That was
He
before
wasn't
you. That was
around.
before you.
No.
Okay. Were you ever hurt by him? First of all.
Never hurt, but I was roughed up a couple of times, just because he's so huge.
I was going to say he was not malicious, right? It was just that it
No,
was impossible.
No, it was just like he was doing things that he hadn't realized yet that can't do to guys, like that are working full time.
Right.
I remember when he dropped on Kevin's back in fucking Pittsburgh. Oh my God, I can't believe he didn't get fired. It was all, because Kevin didn't, Kevin was like, no, don't fire him, but, because he told him before, don't fucking do that
That's right.
move.
He told us about that. Yeah, that was
Did
his
anyways.
time. I could give
From
a
the
shit about
Wapaho
that,
tribe?
but yeah, that went over big. But I want to talk about the Chief because you mentioned some agents before, and Chief is sometimes one that we hear about being unpopular with wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah, except for me and my friends, we like Chief. We
So
loved
why
him.
does he get?
Because he was a hard ass. He was a hard ass. If you if you were acting a fool or acting up, like he taught me a lot. He tried to talk sense into me when I first got there, but I was still too worried about, amusing the boys and fitting in and shit like that.
What was he telling you?
Just like,
Take
this
it more
isn't show
seriously?
friends, it's show business, or, different little one-liners, or, he'd pull me aside and say, look, Trailer, he called me Trailer because I was always the last guy to get to the building, like the caboose, He's like, Trailer, when you're at home hurt, how many of these guys think I'm gonna call you? He'd always be telling me shit like that, And Chief was a wise man. Wise guy, and he took a liking to me when he found out I was a Malenko guy. Because Malenko, Dean's father, really helped Chief out a lot.
Talk about these joint shows. Are you paid similar to what you'd get at a WWF show?
Got paid dog shit. I remember getting like $200. I'm like, fucking ridding me?
So when you're told you're going to work Smoky Mountain, this is nothing you're
It's a
happy
fucking,
about.
yeah, you're basically told, yeah, you're going down there to work for free. Fucking like it, bitch.
And this is just so they could get some new names from Smoky Mountain
Sure.
on television.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Do you guys like these meet and greets before, or is it? You're not being paid extra for this, right?
I don't recollect getting paid the extra.
So
that
now-
was just shit that was expected of you. There were certain things that just expected from talent.
Is the payday big enough for WrestleMania that you just?
At that
Accept.
point, at that position, even though I was figured in politically and shit like that, still I was so new. I was still on the bottom end of the pay scale then. So
Ultimately, why is the decision made to go with him over Lex? Does it go back to what you said? It was entirely decided by the audience.
that and the boys. I think pretty much the boys had kind of come to the conclusion from what, mind you, we're the ones that are making all the towns, so nobody knows better than us.
Would Vince solicit your opinions?
Sure. And even if he didn't, we'd give them to him anyways. That was a nice thing about having Sean with us.
You could grab his ear and say, "Listen, we think that." Would it be as blunt as we think he should get the push, or was it more subtle? Like, how do you approach a Vince McMahon and tell him how to do his job?
Fuck. We left Sean to that.
Oh, so you put it in Sean's ear.
Sure. Why not? Because everybody can't talk at once. I just get on what he said.
Right. Is it thought that this perhaps would be an all-time classic beforehand? Are they really making a commitment to make this hot, or was this something these guys could go out and do whenever they wanted?
That wasn't even the fucking nearly the best ladder match they ever had. There are matches that weren't ever taped on house shows that would blow that fucking match away, believe it or not.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What was it about these two that made that match so special? Could it have happened
bond?
with him and Owen? With
Not
Razor
that.
and Owen?
It would be different, obviously, because you're talking about different people, but it would still be, comparably successful, I think.
So you mentioned the Bond. How much of it do you think was that?
Tons, because, okay, for instance, one of the best matches, maybe top 3 matches I've ever had in my life were Scott and I versus Sean and Kevin as Diesel.
Right.
Very first Action Zone main event. It was taped in White Plains, Arnie Scolin's old building, and we were the last match of the night, but 4 hours of fucking tapings, right? And the people were dead, and we got them right back. They were fucking on fire by the end of that match.
And again, it's the friendship. It's the being able to speak in shorthand and knowing what the other guy is going to do. Are they going over this? Are they doing a lot of pre-planning for this, for the ladder match?
Just experimenting with different spots, things like that.
Go into the ring before a card begins and try stuff with the ladder?
No.
No.
No. Very rarely. I don't ever remember that. It was just come up with it and do it. You don't fucking practice shit like that beforehand.
Well, but with a ladder,
don't do
with
it.
a ladder,
man.
though, it doesn't.
I don't care, man. You
don't.
don't risk, like, you know, getting hurt right before fucking. Because I remember Hunter and Vince many years later, like, going over some shit, and they were climbing up this. It was in Minneapolis, is why I know it so much. They were climbing up this ladder together, and they were practicing taking this bump off the ladder together, and Vince falls right on fucking Hunter's knee, you know, and big old cloudy Vince, you know, at the time he's all jacked up, you know, landed right on, like, I mean, Hunter was fucked. His knee was fucked. He needed surgery after that, and he still went out there and had a hell of a match.
You think Vince would know better? You still get paid?
10 grand.
Okay, so what ran long that night, or did they just?
The ladder match.
Were you being facetious when you said you were heartbroken, or?
No, I was heartbroken. It was my first fucking WrestleMania.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Who tells you? Do you remember?
No, we found out just by being on deck and not fucking.
And your name is just never called. No one comes and says, "Guys, we got to skip you tonight."
Well, not really. I don't remember. It was just like. Remember that? Sorry.
Celebrities that were in attendance. Bring up.
Cy Sperling.
Yes.
The fucking
we'll
hair
get
clip
to
for men guy.
Anything interesting or any
guy was
funny anecdote?
Terrible joke teller.
We'll start with him.
Fucking
then.
Burt Reynolds. Fucking whiskey nose. Back in the house. He was so fucking drunk or something when he went in the ring.
Did you have any one-on-one with Burt, or he was just around?
Well, we took pictures and bullshitted, you know. He's a Seminole FSU guy.
That's true. Did he get it? You know how some
Yeah, he got
celebrities get it, and
Sure.
sometimes they're above it all.
He got it kind of like Captain Kirk got it, you know?
Another
He's a
one
ham.
that I thought who told us, was it Diesel or whoever did that maybe there was something on breath.
Yeah,
throughout the,
sure.
Little
But
Richard.
that wasn't really that uncommon,
No,
you know,
it's-
back then. Captain Lou running around.
True. Little Richard.
Oh, that's right. I got a picture with Little Richard, yeah.
He must have got it. He must have been in his glory.
In more ways than one. Anyway, boom, shh. Yeah, it was cool meeting Little Richard. Who else?
Jenny
Rhonda
Garth?
Shear. Oh,
Jenny
yeah,
Garth.
Jenny Garth, yeah.
Of 90210 fame. Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah, little brother of Mark.
Some Bill Clinton impersonator, right?
It was a pretty good one, too, if I remember correctly. And
And-
didn't we have the Jennifer Flowers? Or was that the next WrestleMania?
Wasn't this year. No. Rhonda Shear you had, though.
Up all night.
Did you have Rhonda Shear?
No,
I had Rhonda Shear.
she wasn't my cup of tea. She was already a little long in the tooth for me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
You were very young, I forget
I
this.
was.
What brings this about?
Just bringing back, you know, classics.
With,
Probably somebody would be asking, what's that about if they bring me around these days, you know?
can you be as entertaining in the locker room as Lou Albano?
Yeah, just in different ways. I mean, you know, Lou would come in, and I thought Lou was the funniest fucking guy in the world for about 2 weeks. Until, like, he told me the fucking penguin joke for about the 20th time. Or, you know, I mean, it was the same fucking anecdotal shit. Like, if you were around long enough, you heard the loop, you know?
So I was just going to
Hey,
say,
did you get your tickets, get your money?
It was, what is that?
He'd always come in, get your money, get your tickets. Like, I didn't know it was your fucking job, to tell us to go get our money from Arnie.
Well, he was being like the Papa Bear. Right?
He was charged. He was always a little bit lit,
Yeah. Great
And
stories
they always
about-
put up with them,
He what?
They always put up with them.
Right. Well, that was
Even
the thing.
going
He
back
was
to Vince Sr.
a leftover from Vince Sr. So I think what they say is that was kind of one of those few requests that Vince Sr. made to Junior was there's some people
Makes
that you
sense.
should take care of.
Sure.
Sean had a lot of nagging injuries.
Yeah, he did.
Kevin would tell us. Usually right around summer.
Summer.
Yeah. So
Around
here
the
we
same
are in
time
April.
Sid would go fucking play softball.
Right. What about this segment and Michaels as a host of the Heartbreak Hotel?
I think it capitalizes on his, arrogance and, persona at the time. It's a good segment.
So so you were.
Yeah, I was.
positively.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, you privy to McMahon's reaction to the lawsuit at any point throughout?
No, but the attorney that represented Jesse was my attorney. So later was my attorney after I got Barry Bloom. For the agent, he turned me on to David Olson, who was the attorney in Minneapolis, which is where I lived. So it made sense that I used him. Except for the thing is, when I went to go back after Bischoff fired me, they wouldn't deal with David because of past animosity. Then when fucking Jesse became governor, next thing you know, everybody's asshole buddies and fucking friends, and next thing you know, Barry Bloom and fucking David Olson are at the shows and fucking, everything's all fine.
That's the sole reason Vince would ever deal with Jesse again, right? Is because he became a figure beyond wrestling and therefore even more valuable than wrestling could make.
Sure.
How come nobody else sued for this? He wasn't the only one.
Probably, it takes a lot of resources to go against the fucking machine like that, and maybe other people didn't have as much of a case as Jesse did.
Because he was on color for
Yeah.
all the matches.
Yeah, that's what most of it was about.
Right. But you don't ever hear Vince uttering any kind of
Yeah.
don't mention.
I remember, because Jesse told me, because we were at the gym, and he told me, he called one time, and the only thing that fucking Vince was so, he couldn't get over the money thing. That's my fucking money, more or less is what he told Jesse. This was before he became governor.
The settlement. You
Yeah.
would say to him, "That's my money."
That's my fucking money.
You were never given a dictate. Don't ever utter the name Ventura around me again.
No, never.
Okay.
He would never do anything like that. He would never say anything like that.
Vince.
Never.
Why? Because it shows weakness, or it
Yes.
shows you got to him a little bit.
Yes. It was just a sad, thing. The guy wasn't qualified to be in the ring,
But with these size payouts that the company's making, you already said your checks are slim. Now
Yeah.
you're seeing this stuff. Is the writing on the wall? Are you guys sending out the proverbial resume, making other calls?
No, we never thought about that. We never thought about leaving.
Really?
No. No, we were fucking, we were in it for the, we signed up for the long haul, That was the way we felt. I was like, I went out and met with Barry Bloom to talk about doing movies, not to talk about jumping to a different wrestling company. I'd never even thought of it.
At this point, April 30th, are you guys all friends?
Oh yeah.
Any resentment from Sean or Razor that Diesel's getting?
No. No.
So you guys are all
Matter of fact,
close.
we were trying to make sure, he had the best run possible. Which, we would try to make sure, regardless of who it is, but it does, mean more when it's your friend.
Right.
That was where I thought I was going to make my money. And I had an established name there. I think most of the guys didn't know what to do out there in front of the Japanese crowd, because even though you're bringing the show to them, like, there still are certain things about the Japanese crowd where you kind of got to cater to them specifically. If you really want the best reaction, out of your matches.
Did you school anybody on that
Yeah.
stuff beforehand?
I tried to, but it's
Who
kind of
listened?
hard. Nobody. And then if you watch any of the video footage of the shows, you can tell. Like, I was rocking it every fucking night. Matter of fact, I had a match with Martel the first night, and besides being blown up, like, we had a hell of a match. They wanted it to be a DQ, and you know how Japan is, fucking DQ finishes.
Right.
I'm like, no, that's Rick Martel, former world champion, Boston Crab. That's what the people, they wanted to see. So.
Did the fans, with so few people on the card knowing how to work that style, for those fans, did they walk away disappointed?
No, they were happy.
Because they
had Bret Hart,
Right.
who was a world champion.
Right.
That was the thing. Tenryu was on the shows, and that was where I got to work with Hakushi and
Right. Well, when
Shinsei
you're working with
Shinzaki.
Shinzaki, right. When you're working with the native guys, are you getting?
huge, yeah. Best fucking reaction of the show, except for maybe Undertaker.
Are they clamoring over each other to work with you in front of the Japanese crowd, as opposed to being
No,
put with someone?
no, they were just because I was going to work with who I was going to work with. I mean, it was already, and I wasn't that high up on the card where it fucking really mattered, to be honest.
Over there though, agents wouldn't give deference to you.
They didn't know any better. I had to kind of school everybody as to how to do things over there. It's like, as far as like doing jobs and
Who goes over with you, agent or company office?
J.J. Dillon was there, remember? Because Owen and I kept him up all night, fucking with him, ribbing him.
Does Vince go over?
No,
Too much trouble back home.
maybe.
Get out of the States. Is there anyone more laid back than Don Morocco?
Moroccanese. Is that what they used to call his language?
Oh, I never heard that.
I didn't really get to know Morocco like I would have loved to, because I always heard secondhand stories from like Kurt Hennig, and Don was a really brilliant guy. Like, there was a clique before the clique, like Adrian Adonis, Piper, fucking who am I missing?
Okay.
Anyways,
it would be Piper, Adonis, Orton,
Morocco.
Yeah. Who else?
Yeah,
is
those
part
guys,
of it?
guys that were on top.
Yeah.
So imagine fucking that.
Yeah. Talk to me about Hawaii working.
I remember we stopped from Japan. We stopped off in Guam. We had a show in Guam. Got to meet one of Samu's many wives. Sorry.
Are the fans more closely, behaviorally, more closely related to, and what they expect from you, to Japanese fans or
No,
American
USA.
fans? U.S. fans.
Yeah. As soon as we stepped out of Japan, it was U.S.
Gotcha.
But I just remember that Brett and I ended up hanging out in Hawaii. That we stayed an extra day and almost got fined, because if we would have missed our flight, we would have been fucked, and the LA show would have been screwed, because it was Brett and I. Brett was the main event, and I was like fairly high up on the card.
Right.
And we made it in time and everything. And Jack Lanza wanted to find me, but he couldn't, because I made it on time.
Right.
So
Jack Lance's another name we hear sometimes that wasn't as popular.
he wasn't me, a Minnesota guy, But I just, you know what?
Maybe it's the
certain
job
guys
of
are
an
treated different,
Well,
I mean,
not only
that's just
that,
the way
but
it
that's the
is.
designated bad guy, the
Yeah.
agent, isn't it?
Sure. And if you're higher up on the card, you're going to get fucking treated a little bit different than the guy jerking the curtain.
Right.
Sorry, it's just the fucking way it is. And that's just that fucking, the mentality of guys like, oh, you can't do a job, fucking. Oh, and I love Hacksaw, but he was like that when I went to WCW. And he fucking stiffed the fuck out of me because he was mad about doing a job for me.
Really?
Yeah, and it was lame because he couldn't even really tell, you know? Like, I was the only one that could feel it. Like, really? Like, I didn't do anything to you.
Right.
Sorry, you know?
But Earthquake.
Guys are so fucking, such marks about doing a fucking job.
But shouldn't it be in relation to where you are working on?
Yeah,
the part?
unless
I
you're
understand the guy
fucking-
saying, I'm going to get a run. I don't want to do this on TV now. But, I mean, John Tent, Hacksaw Duggan in WCW, it's just all ego.
I get, yeah. But, you know, that comes from somewhere, you know. It's, you know, a guy doesn't continue to act like that unless it's, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Unless it's fucking encouraged.
Some psychologists might say that maybe this is Vince acting out a bit of a fantasy role and sending a subtle message to wrestlers. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Is he known to have a little fun?
Sure,
with
of course
his
he is.
creative decisions.
Yeah,
Sending a message.
yeah, and if
Maybe
he
Red
knows, and if
Roosters
he
and
knows you
polka
feel
dots.
this way, then yeah,
So it had nothing to do with Nikolai, but maybe more to do with amusing you guys. Or
I wasn't too fucking amused because I had to work with him on the road.
Nikolai, you mean?
Yeah,
Talk to us
I
about
wanted to
that.
fucking shoot myself in the fucking head after that loop.
Because of the work or
Yeah.
because of traveling with
The
him?
work. It was so fucking rotten. And I love him. He's a really nice guy.
But for your style.
Fucking awful. I remember George Steele telling him they wanted me to give him a gut wrench suplex one night. Oh my God, you should have seen the look on his fucking face. I dare you to take a fucking bump.
How much did you have to work with him?
Enough. Fuck, man. I don't know if I can really, in words, explain to you how fucking taxing that was on me mentally.
Yeah. Nice man, though. Let's read it.
Very nice. Yeah, but that's what we always say about somebody before we bury him.
Right.
Hell of a fucking guy.
Right,
Oh
but
my
Jesus
God, that guy
Christ.
fucking
Oh my
shakes.
God, the gut wrench.
James Dudley, the original bad Leroy Brown. He was like he was the first guy, first black man to ever run a venue, run a arena. And you know, him and Vince's dad were tight, and you know, Vince was partners. Vince Senior was partners with Dudley in Washington D.C. and Baltimore area, and he honored that, and Vince honored that until the day James died.
James would run the Cap Center and
Baltimore,
And
Landover,
Baltimore
shit
Civic
like
Arena,
that, you know. And he was so old, he couldn't even, when he accepted his award, like, he was so, like, feeble and decrepit, like, he could barely get the words out, and, like, he broke into tears. It was like, you know, it might not have been a big deal for, you know, the fans, that had no idea who the hell that was, but it was a big deal, I could tell, for Vince. And in turn, it was a big deal for me because I'm a historian of the business, you know.
describe the ceremony. Now it's a huge show.
And by the way, you know, Vince would we'd show up to Washington, and Vince would have a new fucking car waiting for James Dudley. He'd do shit like that for James just so his family wouldn't fucking, you know, if he sent him money or something, the family would take it.
So the son is honoring
Yeah,
Vince Senior.
yeah, still took care of him. I remember one time, bless his heart, he sat in the backstage area just full of piss. He had pissed himself. I feel bad even telling that story. You know, I mean, and they made sure to take care of him and make sure he had dignity, and, you know, that's the kind of shit I respected out of Vince.
Did they make it a point to let the other wrestlers know who it was and to be
Sorta. I mean,
respectful?
at the Hall of Fame they did, but it wasn't like, hey, look at me, I'm taking care of this guy. It wasn't like Vince was trying to get a pat on the back.
No, but to let the other guys know that this is someone who's very important.
Yeah, yeah,
To look after him.
yeah.
Talk about the ceremony. Now it's a huge show and everything, but back then it's at a hotel. Is there? I don't even know if it's probably not televised, not even televised, but videotaped, right?
Yeah, it was video.
It was.
Yeah. It was my first time I ever wore anything like a suit, you know, like it was a coat and pants ensemble, and I didn't even know better, like, to take the fucking tag off of the jacket. So I show up, you know, and I'm fucking, you know, got the tie on and everything. I got this fucking tag still stuck on my jacket. You know, it's kind of embarrassing.
Some PA run over and clip it off for you? Or
Something like
that.
that.
The rib to leave Sean with his.
Okay, and then I remember
44.
Brett did a keynote speech, and he put me over huge, like talking about young guys coming up, and then he like specifically mentioned me. So Brett's giving a speech, right? And he's like over the top, putting me over in the speech, right? And so we're getting toward the end of the speech, and fucking Lanza or somebody goes, when he's done, everybody stand up, give him a standing ovation. I'm like, okay. And so then he's finished with the speech. Boom, I'm up, yeah. Everybody's sitting there. I'm like, motherfuckers.
Excellent.
They're all laughing their ass off.
I hope that is on video somewhere.
It is somewhere.
Here's a federation who still has, you know, Luger, Razor, Lawler. Well, no, Razor was probably young. Not much younger than Hogan. Was this a mockery, or was this a serious attempt to position the company?
Serious attempt, absolutely. And I thought it did fine for, you know, for its place in history to get from one point to the next, you know. How much does that kid weigh?
Here we are. We should probably mention Art Donovan, while we're here. Do you remember at the time well, you're not watching the broadcast, are you?
I was watching a lot of it and going, what the fuck is that?
Really? So even there,
Oh
people
my
are
God.
going, Jesus. Who?
Yeah. It was fucking, what a disaster that was.
When we covered this on Wrestling's Most Botched, available at kayfabecommentaries.com, people often talked about Randy Savage, who had to be on the headset with him, being rather upset.
It's kind of hard to tell with Randy, though, because he always had the same, you know, expression and same kind of sound of the tone of his voice. And so, but I can just imagine, like, as a commentator, trying to keep shit on course and, you know, going in the right direction and having to fucking bring Art Donovan back and, you know.
Safe to say this was the first and last time Art Donovan did commentary? Or
First and last time, I think, really any guest pay-per-view
football
commentator,
player,
as far as I can remember.
Your participation in the tournament and your matches against Jarrett and Owen, where do you scale them?
As far as what?
As far as the talent you were in there with, Jeff Jarrett and...
Fucking great.
Yeah.
You know, as far as just that particular night, like, Jeff was my worst match. I mean, and that was a nice, solid match, like, but I just still saved something for Owen, you know? And Owen was the guy getting the push that night, and so I went out, and Brett, his brother, told me, obviously, Owen's brother, told me that was the best match he'd ever seen of that, given that length of time we had.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a hell of a fucking compliment, you know?
You mentioned something interesting. You said, you know, going out, I have to save something for Owen. When you have to work multiple times in the same night in a tournament style thing like that, are guys conscious of that you have to save some of your offense for, and not repeat?
Guys that were smart enough, you know? But
it's nothing you're told to do by an
No.
agent. Like don't do the finish now because we want to see that later.
no. That was all shit. Like, honestly, a lot of the agents, they would tell us what we did wrong after the fact. Which is easy as fuck to do that.
Right.
You know, I can sit and do that all day long. But
Would you ever, any desire to road agent?
I wouldn't want to put a label on it. But I mean, I would be open to it.
So his not
Splitting
wanting to
cars.
go all the way with this. Do you remember this? Where
Yeah.
he wasn't making the appearances?
Yeah.
And you just sent a video to
Yeah, but I had no idea that the buy rate was that bad.
sabotaging his own return?
Not purposely.
Foolishly.
Yeah,
Roddy Piper, shouldn't you know better?
you would think, but then
Vince
again,
McMahon, shouldn't you remind
there's-
Roddy Piper that you know better?
maybe Vince assumed.
We're too busy with the courts.
Maybe.
Papa's away. Busy with other stuff. Any additional details about the gimmick? We just know nothing. We never hear about this.
I think I know. I do have a good idea why, but it's not something that honestly, as much as I'm open in these kind of situations, that's something I'd probably.
Okay. Well, I'll probe. Is it illegal? A legal thing?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm pretty good about that type of stuff, but I don't want to.
Involving one of the three.
Yeah.
Fonzie, Ricky. We have a mission now. June 22nd.
It's not that big a deal, man. It's just these are guys that I know, and I'm not.
When it's the forbidden fruit, it's always a big deal.
Well,
To
you're
us.
not getting any more out of me on that.
No, not you. We'll find it. June 22nd. Write us. And also physical threats on interviews, such as threatening to break someone's arm. Razor was even told to stop flicking the toothbrush. Toothbrush. Yes, he brushed his teeth. The toothpick. Talk about this This is professional wrestling. This is absolute paranoia now.
Oh, I know. It was like, are you fucking ribbing me? Why don't you just fucking handcuff my hands behind my back and fucking shackle my feet?
Are you expected to produce a wrestling program with none of this?
Yeah. Not only that, but SummerSlam, Scott and Sean are expected to go out and have the sequel to the fucking ladder match with those fucking constraints. We fucking, collectively sat and did we fucking pulled our hair out putting that match together.
Yeah, and Kevin told us about it. But all the guys must just sit there like, what do you want us to do?
Right. And a lot of the guys were there, they didn't want to fucking rock the boat, they just, they didn't know any better. A lot of the guys in the company then weren't really that fucking good.
Does Vince say anything to you personally? Is this a memo that comes? How are you guys told what your restrictions are going to be? How do you find out?
Well,
You can't flick a tooth.
it was just basically verbalized to Sean and Kev.
And it just disseminates through the rest of them?
Our little group.
Right.
Five.
Well, but everyone's
Four.
told that you have to.
Yeah, but we're told in different ways.
Maybe you guys are allowed to do a little more?
Maybe. Or maybe we can, not allowed to, but do it anyways, and fucking, what are you gonna do about it?
Talk about him coming in and being given this gimmick. Do you guys think it's going to go over?
We were hoping. We were all behind it,
They were friendly, right? I think he
Sure.
was in his wedding party. And So Mark makes the suggestion to you, Brian?
I think that's how, excuse me. I think that's how it went, yeah.
First of all, do any of you know in advance this is about to happen?
No.
Big deal. It is a big deal.
Yeah, but honestly, we're hoping, I guess, maybe that it went well. But we were kind of caught up in the brainwashing, indoctrinated into the WWF universe or whatever. You kind of get caught up in that, to where, you feel this sense of loyalty, and it's very, Very mob-like, I guess.
Well, yeah, but this name, but the Hogan name had not been. I mean, of course, he worked for Vern, but it had been so closely associated with WWF for so long. Vince sees this as a slap in the face, no doubt.
I'm sure.
Is he vocal about it?
No. It's weird because he wasn't vocal about much, except for just when word started getting around, like, okay, that maybe, they're throwing money around and they want, I remember Vince specifically having a meeting telling us, none of you's for fucking going anywhere.
Meaning?
You're not going anywhere.
Meaning I'll pay you enough to...
No,
keep you
meaning
here?
fucking you're not going anywhere. Like, take it for however you want to take it.
Very mob-like, as you said.
Yeah. You can't. I remember Jack Lanza wasn't even allowed to talk to Bobby Heenan. Longtime friends, lifelong friends.
When Bobby was announcing all
That's
that,
right.
yeah. Do any of you feel that this will make WCW more competitive again? Or again, are you just in a bubble and you're not even really paying attention?
It's sort of a bubble.
Yeah.
I was probably the one that was most informed out of anybody. And I just kind of remember, I don't know, like I should have wanted it to succeed, but I remember being very WWF-ish in my mindset and like, fuck them.
Right.
And,
You're on the team. So
that's right.
Yeah. Is this again a result of the upcoming trial? Vince may be going away. It's all going to crumble.
Everything was like kind of weird. Like I remember they brought in this fucking, I was going to say cunt, but Lisa Wolf.
Lisa Wolf.
Yeah.
I think Nash might have said that word in reference to her.
Fucking, she hated every other fucking woman that walked the face of the earth.
She came from the NFL? Was this
Supposedly.
Oh.
She brought a lot of fucking negative shit onto that company. She brought some fucking jabroni named Osbear de Ars. Yeah, Worldwide Properties or something that the guy's company was. It's like to do merchandise. The guy ended up fucking us huge. Like I found all this out from AM. That used to work, used to basically run the fucking, Ian Russo used to run that fucking show.
What was Basil DeVito?
I can't remember what his exact title was. I just remember him being
It says company
financial
vice president,
officer or
but
some
what
shit.
You're never dealing on
No.
all with them. And this Ann Bojack.
No.
Is Vince now? Vince is never selling the fact that the rats are abandoning the ship.
No, except for that meeting that he told everybody, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, mind you. I mean, but like that was the gist of it.
Is he telling you, listen, you may be working with Jerry Jarrett for a little while? Or
No.
doesn't make
Oh, you talking about like bringing Watts and Jerry?
Yeah.
No, he never actually told anybody why they were there or anything like that.
Well, on July
Bill Watts
2nd,
actually sat in the crowd at Madison Square Garden before anybody knew he was going to be working there, just so he could get give an honest evaluation of the talent without them knowing.
seeing.
Yeah, that's why he liked me, because I had that night I had Hunter's very first match he ever had in the Garden.
What did you think of Bill?
I liked. I mean, there are certain things that are, negatives about Bill that everybody is, I think that Newham has brought up in the past, but he liked me because I was a Malenko Gotch disciple, and I could go real, I wasn't just high flyer. I could wrestle. And
Who would have
kick some
served the
ass.
company better, Jerry or Bill?
Probably Jerry overall, but like booking wise, Bill was the better booker. But I think that
The total business.
yes, yeah, I think he's better off with Jerry.
He was in Jersey, right? coming back to
From Baltimore, going to
from
Newark
Baltimore, right?
after a long fucking tour.
And he was 31 years old. Do you remember getting the news?
Yeah. I never had any, you know, that was my first person I knew that died, you know,
In the business.
in this, yeah. Well, except for one of my teachers, Masami Soranaka, Carl Gotch's son-in-law, he died of a brain tumor. But other than that, that was my first kind of taste of death, you know, as far as, you know, my compadres go, so.
Was Joey well liked by everyone?
Yeah.
Was he a partier?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
contributed
nothing,
to
no,
the. No.
I don't think so. No.
What about Gorilla's reaction? It's been said that this is where he lost his steam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember amongst boys really there being criticism on the company for putting us through that much. You know.
Travel.
Yeah. Like, fucking these guys would have had, you know, proper rest like that wouldn't have happened. It's kind of unfair to say. Of course, you know, when something awful like that happens, you're searching for reasons why, or, you know, you say things that maybe aren't, you know, fair. Or
Is it Gorilla
point
saying
fingers.
these things?
No. It may have been, but I just remember that being the talk amongst the talent.
Do you remember the air kind of coming out of Gorilla at this point? I mean,
Yeah, totally.
Is it a decline from here
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep, almost like you could see it right from that fucking point on. It would just start to melt away.
Do you think Titan Sports or Vince McMahon had any responsibility for distribution of steroids?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Do you think that by suggestion they were ever guilty of this in some way? Has anyone said to you, you know, it'd be good if those arms were a little bigger, anything like that?
Nope. But you know, you look at who's being pushed and why, and you know, you come up with your own conclusions on what you got to do.
Right.
You know.
So definitely not guilty of overtly
Absolutely
doing
not.
anything. Nature of the
fucking-
business kind of
yes.
thing.
Absolutely. I get really like, okay, mind you, like as the number one promoter in our industry, like he's going to end up, you know, bearing some of the responsibility for things, you know, I mean, obviously. But that was just totally unfair. It was bullshit, fucking witch hunt.
Is he any different after the acquittal?
Yeah, it was like kind of like, you know.
Does he talk about it at all? Are you free to come up to him?
Well,
and say
to us, like, because
congratulations?
we just happened to be at the same fucking late night diner, all fucked up together that night after the verdict came down. So it was, you know, a little party that night.
And what does he say? Does he ever admit to being afraid of really going away?
He's afraid of, he admitted to being deathly afraid of all the people that were dependent on him as an employer of, you know, not being there for them. Like, I mean, he was legitimately concerned about his employees and what was going to happen to, you know, to his company.
Do you remember the diner?
Talking about that night after? Yeah, of course.
Which city?
It was like Columbus, Ohio or something like
Really?
that. I think so. Does that sound right?
I don't have it. It was a great little tidbit I was searching for. The company begins featuring them because the strike is going on in July. On commentary, Vince McMahon refers to him as the best backstop in baseball. Jerry Lawler goes on to ask if he's a pitcher or a catcher.
Is he a graduate of the Terry Garvin School of Self-Defense?
The Pat Patterson go behind. We can go all day. But talk about Lombardi and the gimmick and the repeated attempts to find some life for Steve.
Oh, Steve's a good guy. You know,
sure.
And he was fine in the ring. He wasn't great or anything like that, obviously, because, I mean, he would have went farther, but he was a hard worker. That gimmick was easy. I enjoyed working with him. I knew it wasn't going to be money, but I knew I wasn't going to get hurt, and I knew we were going to have a decent match. And have a little fun with it, see what he could do with the character. He did a little bit with it, I mean, it was obviously, he wasn't going to make any money with it, but. Brett and I were driving together a lot at the time, even though, like, the clique was, in effect, like, that's the thing, is, like, I never, like, thought about things like, okay, this is us, and, this is everybody else. Like, I always still thought, maybe naively or whatever, I always thought that we all still were friends regardless, I think you could look at me and tell that I was like kind of maybe influenced by the Calgary style, even the way, my dress, my costume and whatnot, those tights. I remember getting the word after the match with Owen at King of the Ring that I was going to have the match with Brett. And so we had a couple of weeks, we were psyched up getting ready for this thing. And it was a big deal to Brett too,
Did it deliver for you?
Fucking right, it delivered for both of us. I mean, to this day, like, it was ranked number 3 of all-time greatest matches on Raw.
Mm-hmm. What exchange do you have afterwards?
Well, we were still, driving together, so, like, we were fucking mutual fans of each other, so, it was just a continuation of, mutual ass-kissing society afterwards, putting ourselves over, and I was just so fucking proud to have had that match, And there was this kid that came, he was dying of cancer, and he came and he visited us beforehand. I just remember that leaving quite an impression on me. It was like the first time I'd ever met like a Make-A-Wish.
You've had to do that often, I would imagine, right?
Later throughout the years, yeah.
How do you, as a person, I guess, putting wrestling aside from it, how do you reconcile this before you're about to get out and perform, or maybe act like an asshole or do something when you have that kind of real life moment a half hour before? Are you able to disassociate yourself so much that you don't walk away and cry in the bathroom stall somewhere?
No. I just, first of all, you have, like, okay, when somebody's, their last wish on this earth is to meet you, it's fucking, you can't, feel worthy of that, But who the fuck am I to say that I'm not worthy of it when that's this kid's last wish, So you suck it up. You try not to let fucking the kid see you cry, But I don't know. It's tough. I mean, obviously, it's tough for me just to talk about it, but it's just really.
How much time do you have to spend? A few
Only
minutes?
a few minutes, unfortunately.
Do you say
I
good
can't
luck?
even remember,
Do you say
man.
good luck?
No, because that's not the right thing to say, and there is no real right thing to say. I just remember this time this kid fucking. The parents said, like, doctor didn't want to let him come because, like, it would kill him. It's like, wait a minute, the kid's gonna be dead in a couple of weeks anyways. Like, let him have his fucking wish. Fucking idiots. Very, very, very nice. Couldn't be a nicer guy in the industry, though.
What's is the difficulty?
Isn't that where you bury the guy afterward?
Yeah, that's
nice guy, but styles didn't mix that well.
Yeah.
Can't adapt. Yeah. I was fine with it, except the people weren't. Like, I could do that just fine. I'm a fucking wrestler.
Right.
But
he couldn't change his thing.
Not so much. For being a great wrestler, he wasn't the best at chain wrestling.
Kevin said that he was calling the match and
he fucking power drove Kevin.
And called the sunset flip.
Yeah, and then Bob drove him in the same match. Pittsfield, fucking Mass. The boys club, fucking in front of 700 people. Suck my fucking left testicle.
What's this? So then, why is Bob back in this angle and the heel turn?
I don't know, but okay, Bob was the former champion, and they have that, obviously, storyline-wise, and all of that. And, you know,
Are they thinking
I
that
guess
far
Vince maybe thinks that, okay, Bob Backlund's a name that's going to resonate, like, throughout the WWE or WWF, you know, world or universe, whatever you want to call it, because as far as Vince is concerned, you know, I mean, Bob was, in his world, a big deal. It's like Bruno.
But is he that out of touch to or maybe the
No,
boys
it's
aren't
just-
communicating.
And maybe
he's-
it's just that was a good, you know, that spoke to the lack of depth of talent.
But nice guy.
Yeah, great guy. Yeah, and I used to have matches with him. Like, he'd just run around to do that goofy shit for fucking 10 minutes, and the people would go crazy. We wouldn't even touch. He'd come in the ring, we'd go right home.
Is Bruce a little crazy?
Yeah, and he was definitely going into business for himself out there. Yeah, because I remember that just being the talk of it. Maybe not the whole locker room, but amongst certain people. Like, I remember talking to Brett about it. Like, Brett was aware, you know,
Did Brett
about how his brothers were.
Did Brett warn anyone that
Yeah,
maybe
of course
this
he
isn't a
did.
good idea?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you were going to get what you're going to get out of that. I mean, especially like with Stu involved and Lawler's fucking shots at Stu. I mean, that got Brett really pissed, you know.
Really?
Fucking right. Yeah.
So none
Ask
of that.
Lawler about eating his own fucking foot. In the Survivor Series, when he had the match with Brett,
Right. Yeah.
he fucking kissed his own foot and then some.
So none of it's discussed beforehand that
No.
Jerry's going to say this about Stu and.
No,
Bad
and if
idea.
so, like, it was, you know, Brett, well, you know, Brett didn't take too kindly to, you know, regardless, he wasn't afraid to use something in a storyline, but still be legit pissed about it, you know.
So from a business standpoint, he understands that it
Yeah,
works,
and he
but
put
was
that
still
fucking sharpshooter on Lawler, and just slowly, just next, you know, cinch it in slowly and slower, and finally fucking, before Lawler knew it, he was bent in half, you know.
Did Lawler know what that was all about?
He fucking figured it out, I think.
Were you aware that he was a producer?
Now that you mention it, like, I remember him saying something about it.
Right. Well, he would.
Of course he would.
Do you like?
Do I like Scotty?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't take away from the fact that he's still Scotty Levy.
Right. Yeah.
But I've known him, fuck.
Was he
since I was
always
15
as
years old, 14 years
tedious
old.
as he is now?
Always.
Yeah.
Ever since the day I met him.
A lot to be around.
Fucking right.
Good worker, though.
Yeah. Smart worker.
Right.
I used to, like, have issue with sometimes him, like, tanking it a little bit. But it wasn't him tanking it so much as him not wanting to take certain bumps.
Is he someone who might have been better suited for the behind the camera as opposed to?
I don't know. Because, like, you know, you've got, you know, a lot of people are big fans of his interview style and stuff like that. So,
Right.
no doubt about it, Scotty's a brilliant guy. He just rubs certain people the wrong way, you know.
Sean's mouth often got him into predicaments. Would you guys sometimes find yourselves bearing the brunt of that because of Sean's mouth? Either whether it was
Either way, you know,
a decision from the office
take the good with the bad, you know.
because you gained a lot from it.
Sure. It just is what it was, you know. I mean, it wasn't like we calculated all, you know, like everything out. Like, we were just guys that loved wrestling and fucking, we were trying to make the best of it. You know, I know that's said a lot, but I mean, I don't think it, I don't think people are understanding that. Like, we really weren't out to fucking, we didn't have this conspiracy to, run everything and,
Would all the members
we just were trying to do the best for the company.
Would all the members of the clique agree with that?
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just naive,
Was he ever seen as a worker?
No.
By anybody?
No, he was like a nice guy and everything, but
There it is.
it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't. You want to try to look for like the best in people, but like as far as in the, Mike was a good guy outside the ring, but number one, you didn't want to have your tryout match with him because he has no fucking vested interest in you getting a job whatsoever. So, that's why I didn't understand.
Would they put someone like
fuck
that
yeah,
with a?
with a guy getting his tryout, yeah. Yeah.
No. It seems strange booking them having to win the belts before SummerSlam when they're not going to be in a tag
title match?
Yeah. Was this their idea? Like, what? From a booking standpoint, it doesn't make sense, but there had to be a reason.
Vince didn't want to stick. Like, now everything is a group or a clique or a faction. Back then, Vince didn't want any of that. He didn't want to take big name guys and stick them all together and just be one act on the show. You know what I mean? Coming from his point of view, that's a lot of money just for one match on the lineup. It was just a different way of looking at it. He was dead set against all that group stuff, I had a herniated disc at the time, but it wasn't broken yet.
So you were just aggravating the already herniated disc.
Yeah, because that ring was so hard, man.
Yeah.
That was the hardest fucking ring. I mean, we're working 300 days a year on that fucking ring, man. That was one of my things in my contract when I came back to work, that they were getting all new rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were they were hard to sustain the blows from the really heavy guys?
No, just I'm taking a fucking flat back on that thing, man.
I'm saying, why did they make them so hard?
Because for the big guys in the past, and they didn't work the style like we're working on higher end style than they were.
WCW's rings were more friendly.
Yeah. Shorter ropes. I mean, actually, very much southern flavor to the company as far as the rings were made. Like northern rings are made out of steel, and the southern rings are lumber, made out of lumber.
Cable ropes or rope ropes?
Southern rings were cable ropes, which is better for the guys doing the tricks. And the northern rings, like Vern's and Vince's, had the hemp rope.
Which is better for hitting the ropes?
I don't know.
Or you don't find the difference?
No.
Talk about Walter Payton. And was he a wrestling fan?
Yeah. He was just a really cool guy. His son was really cool. I don't know, what can you say about one of the greatest football players ever? And in Chicago, I remember him fucking just looking at Sean outside the ring and making a step towards him, and the place would erupt. And it was like, keep going, and he didn't have the instinct. But he was getting the taste of it, and he was digging it.
How much are they given? When I say they, I mean a celebrity who's going to be a corner man or anything. As far as you can hit this guy or don't, or threaten him, like how much are they given beforehand, or is it all instinct that they got to figure out?
It's mostly when you're dealing with an outside guy, you want it.
These are the rules.
This is how it's going to go. Just make sure that there's no fucking confusion.
Right.
And when you're dealing with outside guys, getting involved in matches, whether they're in the match or on the floor or whatever, like you want to keep things as basic, as simple as possible. And I remember Bret I remember him not being too fond of Davey coming in.
Why?
I'm not sure. Maybe he thought Davey was going to, encroach on his Rain,
So it was wrestling related, not family related. The
more or less. Yeah.
strain.
Maybe, probably.
Why did it suck so much?
Well, number one, they were the main event, and Brett and Owen went out there and purposely took as much fucking time as they wanted, and too bad. That was the mentality. Brett told me that himself.
Beforehand, that we're going to stay out there and
Or, you know, yeah, and afterwards, they were going to take how much time we fucking need. You know, because as far as he was concerned, he was the co-main event. So basically, they took as much time as they wanted, left them with shit to work with. So how is that ever going to fucking work?
Was any of the flaw the conceptual booking of this kind of thing?
Yeah, some of it. But it's kind of hard to put it all on that, considering, you know, you had the Brett Owen to the equation. That happened a lot. Guys would, you know, go take time and fuck the other guy.
Some of your friends did
Sure.
that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Lee, how come he's not kept and repackaged as anything? Is
I
he
think
blamed for this in a way? Or
Maybe, and I think he was just fucked up a lot.
fucked up meaning injured, or fucked up on
Inebriated.
other stuff?
Mind you, it's like, you know, you're in the land of people being fucked up, so
When
he's
in
got to be
Rome,
fairly
yeah.
fucking, he's got to stick out like pretty good if you're, you know, coming to the attention of the higher ups.
Oh, so you've got you got to up your game
Right.
so much that Now, is Taker? This is his friend. Is he make any attempt to get him to stay or to be?
I don't
captive?
recollect it.
Yeah. In September, a weird thing starts to happen with syndicated television starting to take a different turn.
Starting to
NFL
die.
lands on Fox, so now Fox's weekend lineup has the NFL, so it's going to naturally, I guess, attribute a little bit less time to wrestling. So now, when we lost the weekly squash card, where our superstars could shine and we can get people to the arena, what did we lose from a business standpoint?
Honestly, I don't think much, except for fucking syndicated, you know, TV money. Other than that, I don't, like, they thought that they couldn't run a town unless they had syndicated TV in the market. Ended up being fucking wrong.
But what about the traditional format of the syndicated card where you had
With all the
one
squash
guy,
matches?
Yeah.
Is done with. Pretty much. I mean, they try to hold on to it as much as possible, but, you know, when the competition is throwing out pay-per-views for fucking, you know, their regular TV shows, you kind of got to match, you know, don't you?
But in a way, do we give away too much when we have all of our stars on the weekly shows? And
Maybe, maybe not.
nature of the business now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
On September 1st.
Obviously not, because you're giving it away, but people are still coming because the product's so fucking hot. At least when it got hot, you know?
But at no time do you guys say, well, wait a minute, we're not going to be able to go over every week on squashes. How are we going to build
I never thought
to
of
the
it that way.
pay-per-views? No?
No.
She writes a letter that states, since steroids became illegal in 1991, the WWF has carried out a strict drug, steroid testing, and enforcement policy. In spite of this, federal grand jury handed down 6-count indictment against the company for possession and distribution. The judge dismissed 5 of the counts, while the jury still returned a not guilty verdict on the 6th. First, let me take Linda. Her role in the company at the time is very active with the boys, or it's strictly an office?
More or less just office. Yeah, and I believe she was head of legal or something. Yeah, she's an attorney. And I think at that point she was kind of in that department or something. But anyway, what were you?
Various attempts have been made to clean their image. WWF has
Sure.
kind of gone through this through the years. And it's a stain that they just seem can never wash off, and maybe just because it's inherent in wrestling.
Yeah.
Is it a dirty business? Is it
Generally?
the bastard child of entertainment?
Yeah. I mean, you asked me a question. Do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah.
It's just always going to be looked at as lowbrow by a certain,
Do you ever
certain
feel that
type.
way about what you did?
Yeah, maybe here and there.
Whether in the company of others and go, oh, I'm the wrestler in the group,
Yeah.
guy in Hollywood.
It's once we started the NWO DX era, I wasn't fucking embarrassed anymore.
Right. What was it? Just the
Because
level
we were
of
the fucking
popularity.
coolest motherfuckers on television. That's what. It was the fucking greatest, man.
The end justifies the means.
Yeah. I honestly, I understand both sides of that. Like, one, the outsiders looking in, and I understand the frustration that Linda and Vince had, It's like, what the fuck, So we get tried by a jury of our peers and found, not guilty. And some people like to go, not guilty doesn't mean innocent. Yet, when we're talking about somebody beforehand, they're innocent until proven guilty, right? So obviously, innocent and not guilty are equal to each other.
But my thing is, if it was like the NFL, that TV Guide would never even take a chance writing something slanderous like that.
Right.
After they
especially, and considering the fact that like every fucking major sport has this dirty secret. Every fucking one of them.
There's no way to clean up professional sports as far as performance
absolutely not.
enhancing when your pay is directly dependent on your performance
That's
as an
right.
athlete.
That's right.
Is that safe to say?
It's safe to say, and that's just. I'm sorry to those of you that want to live in this fucking fantasy world. Sorry, anytime there's money involved in sports, there's going to be cheating. And it's just that's just how the playing field. That's like when you're talking about Lance Armstrong. Yeah, he's a dick. That's why that's why he went down. Because everybody's doing the same shit. They're not as successful. And if it wasn't for the fact that he was such a dick, I don't think he'd ever gotten fucking taken down. Because he's doing too much for, with the
Live Strong.
Yeah, Live Strong Foundation, all that. I was in, I forget what cities we were in, it was a Midwestern loop or something, but I had gotten word that he was, really a touch and go, and so I called and, yeah, that was the situation. I called the office, I said, I need to go home, I need to go, my teacher's dying and I gotta get home and see him before he dies. And J.J. Dillon told me we need you to stay on the road. They really fucking needed me to stay on the road. And after the fact, when I got home, I was supposed to go home and get right on a plane, and my wife told me he was gone, and I called J.J. and I said, you know what? Fuck this bullshit. It's just not fucking worth it.
So you weren't able to get home before
No,
the games?
no. I was like, fuck you,
Did they let you go for the
Oh, and then
arrangements,
JJ
the
told me,
funeral, and
yeah, that's, and Randy Savage was a really good friend of me at the time, and he understood what I was going through. He came and he picked me up from the airport, we went to the funeral together.
JJ was the point guy if you needed to do something.
He was the
like
head
that,
of talent
you would call.
relations, yeah, and he ran it very much Johnny Laurinaitis style. I guess he felt like they had to beat us down into submission,
And this is nothing you could go around him and say, Vince.
Oh, I did afterwards, but I didn't realize I could.
Before.
I'm new. I'm still fairly new to going in to do battle with the fucking office,
I've never been trained as a wrestler, so I want you to tell me having a mentor like this means to you as a successful wrestler?
It's, there's guys that are going to be, they're going to do well no matter what, because they just have it, but still, like the training and the teaching and the wisdom from a guy like that, I mean, you really learn how to wrestle. I mean, these aren't just fucking fake wrestling moves. Pro wrestling is a legitimate fucking, catch wrestling. Legitimate fucking, martial art, if you want to put it that way. And he taught us how to really wrestle. And he also did his best to teach us the psychology as much as we could comprehend at the time. And I always was around Larry every day. I wasn't just around him when we were at school, because I did all the flyers and shit on the computer. I made the tickets, and I was basically helped him promote the shows too, because I never had money to pay to go to wrestling school, so I worked it off that way. And I used to stay in the ring the whole day and just go in there with one guy after another, and so I had an amazing amount of fucking experience in the ring technically, My technique was very sharp. To this day, it's pretty sharp. And I attribute that to Malenko.
Is he someone that you would call for business advice after you were working in New York?
Sure. Yeah.
What do I do here? Or what do you think of this guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was I remember calling him one time because, he had told me about Strongbow. Strongbow was like, he had this fucking manner about him, and he'd go, Taylor, what's my real name? He asked me one time. I said, Joe Scarpa. I said, nope. I bet you can't find out either. So I went and asked Malenko, and he told me it's Luke. So next TV, I said, hey, Luke, Taylor, who told you that? And I told him, and he was like, okay. I mean, it's not that great a story, but...
So where did Joe Scarpa come? Because that's the name that everybody knows.
His actual real first name is Luke, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a nice tribute to Larry.
Thank you for letting me talk about
No, I'm glad you did.
I wouldn't be here without him. Or Phyllis Lee.
Well, who else in wrestling would be sitting here saying this to me about Boris?
That you wouldn't.
Yeah.
These days like Kane. I tell you who. Terry Funk said he was the greatest interview he'd ever heard, greatest promo guy he'd ever heard.
But as a trainer, as a teacher,
yeah, everybody that was taught by him. Bill Eadie, Mass Superstar, said he taught him a ton. I mean, even Steamboat told me at one time he taught him a lot. That's when you really learn. I wish that I would have gotten to work with him in the ring, because that was what he did for other guys, that was kind of what I did later on. He taught guys in the ring.
Right. The guys older than you that got to.
Yeah, I had the beads and the lava.
How were you guys not laughing throughout the entire match?
Because we're in there with our friends.
Right.
Me and Junior against Kevin and Scott or Sean.
Yeah. But I'm saying it must have been a very
it was great
comical night.
Yeah, but people, they didn't laugh at it. They fucking popped. They bought it, man. I went and did the Jimmy Snuka. They got it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
but
kid.
with each other, when I'm
shit.
saying everybody, I mean the other guys. You must have been having
funny.
a great time.
It was fun, and we could do that. Other guys could go out there and open the matches, and they would be chastised for fucking off out there. But when we did it, it was different.
Did anyone tell you to dress up?
No, I did that on my own. Nobody has to tell me shit.
Where's the stuff? His stuff was just
Yeah.
around. Why? And why don't things work out with him being a main eventer again in 1994? Is it just
It's brutal. You know, he is one of those things that kind of should have been left to memory. I don't mean to be a dick, but like, I mean,
nice guy?
eh,
Yeah, really. Okay.
he's a big loudmouth bowling alley motherfucker, you know, cracking jokes on everybody. I thought he's funny, you know. But like, he was a mark.
But does he think he's going to get a run?
Yeah. He didn't want to do a sharpshooter finish with Brett. I've never given up, and I don't really want to start now. It was like, well, fuck you then. Like, let's put somebody else in the main event. Give him that payoff. I remember he got fucking Visine in his water bottle that night.
Who would have done something like
I
that?
have no fucking clue. I don't even know how I would know about something like that.
Is this the reason why he's gone so quickly after, probably, that he's not getting along with everybody?
It's not that he's not getting along with, it's just not producing. And I remember us telling him, hey, why don't you do the 5 count? This is how much fucking respect he had at the point, right? He goes out, yeah. He's like, tells the ref 5, and the fucking ref looks at him like, fuck off. Ref didn't even know what the 5 deal was about, you know? Yeah, they were definitely looking for the Todd Pettengill type guy.
Talk about Dunn's role through the years in the company since you've been. He's a kind of a top of the
He's the
pecking order.
fucking
right
very
now.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Noticeable in
most
1994.
of the talent don't even understand that because most talent aren't high enough to even deal with him directly.
Oh, well, okay. Well, there's a good point. What is he doing? What are
He's
his
making us
responsibilities?
fucking look like fucking stars out there.
By
The best. He's the best fucking.
are the
Producer and
angles
television.
that are to be shot his idea?
I think so.
Sean,
about the-
Sean
the-
looks
the
great
crowd
when
shots?
he comes off here.
Or-
No, but like shooting you guys a certain way. Like Sean's finish is great. Make sure you're here
Absolutely.
for his.
Well, a lot of those ours too, saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing," and just to smarten them up, so they know
Going
what's
to a
coming.
cameraman?
Yeah.
Okay,
Producer directed ourselves.
gotcha.
Fuck a move up, like Scott, fuck a move up, or somebody fuck up. Because you're working with job guys every night, right? So, chances are you're going to get a shitty one every now and then. And, Scott, if the guy would fuck up, Scott would just look at the camera and go, take 2. And just fucking do the exact same thing again.
So they
got it
know
right.
to edit it.
Yeah, give them an editing point and everything.
Wow. What about the vignettes? Kevin Dunn also.
Hard to say.
Well, I mean, the creative would be whoever was booking or writing, but is he in there involved? With,
He's not hands-on producing it, like
He's in the truck.
in the truck. Yeah.
Talk about Jacques. Is he a guy you got along with?
Yeah, I got along with them. A lot of guys didn't. Though.
Right. Why? Was it their
'Cause
problem, or was he sometimes?
A little of both. A little of both. Like, at that point in his career, he wasn't going to go out there and kill himself. That's what he had Carl for. So they shared an unequal burden as far as the workload they carried in the ring. Which is fine. That's what the young guy's for. But
Now he'd return to the ring with Pierre in
Yeah.
WCW.
it's just like whenever we'd be in Canada, the motherfucker would grow wings and be able to fucking do drop kicks off the top, planches to the fucking floor. And come back to the States, have fucking feet be nailed to the floor. Give him a backdrop, he lands beside you.
Was there a French Canadian clique also?
Sort of.
little
They tried to be.
Well, with Pat and them, they kind of look after each other.
Try to.
Was he talented?
Fine. Yeah, it's nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Because everybody, when somebody dies, they they want to fucking hold him in high reverence, and he was a great guy. But he was just a move guy. He didn't have and I guess, here's the thing. A person a lot of times doesn't realize they don't know because they don't know yet. You know what I mean? Like, you don't realize you don't know until you fucking finally figure it out. And then you go, oh my God, boy, was I ever fucking clueless at that point, you know? So,
Personality wasn't there. Couldn't talk you into the building.
it wasn't going to really get a fair look.
You knew that from the beginning.
It wasn't his place. He was brought in to do a job, not fucking get a tryout.
Of the three, who'd you enjoy working with the most?
Scott,
Because
he was the best. At being the foundation of a match. Sean got as good as he is by working with Scott. Everybody got as good as they were by working with Scott. Whether it was me, Hunter, Sean, fucking Jeff Jarrett, anybody that ever worked with Scott was better on the fucking other end than when they started.
what was it? If we had to build it in a laboratory, what are we putting in?
You can't. It's fucking unobtainium.
Is he calling matches too? I mean,
Yeah, directing traffic.
When the four of you are out there like that, is there any? Kevin talked about his big match with Sean on the pay-per-view, where he knew that Sean was going to try and blow him up real quick and try and get the friendly competition, not to shit on each other. But so when you guys do get together, are you expecting a little bit of that stuff? Like, what's he going to try? No.
Maybe they were thinking that, but I wasn't.
Right.
I didn't care. Just pass me the ball.
Do you remember why she's let go? Is it an altercation, or is this
I think
just...
it had maybe it's substance issues. Well, where are you gonna go with that?
Just what happened?
I don't recall, except for bless her heart. She has so many conditions, mental conditions, like you name it, and she probably had it, dissociative identity disorder, fucking bipolar. She was on some heavy antipsychotic meds. Bro, I remember Kev took one of her fucking Elavils, they're called, and he was fucking passed out, man, right up against this speaker in this club, and you could see the bass hitting him, right? And he's fucking just out cold, right? We're in Israel. And that was just one of these little pills she had, and it didn't do shit to her, but it knocked everybody else on their ass.
It's reported that a lot of the wrestlers and personnel are shocked legitimately that this has happened. Tell me about the circumstances there when Randy goes.
I only remember just being wow, because right prior to that, it was basically let known by Vince prior to that this is our Babe Ruth. Hogan left and this guy, Warrior, fuck all these guys. Mach is my fucking Babe Ruth. And he was the commentary. He was great. I thought he was great commentator. I remember taking a piss that day. And me and Arnie and fucking Vince all taking a piss at the same time. And, Vince and I throwing bathroom humor at each other, and fucking Arnie tries to jump in and makes a comment about Randy, and fucking Vince's face just turned like almost he went into tears. He wanted to fuck. If it wouldn't have been anybody but Arnie, like probably would have gotten fucking punched in the face or fired.
Is it known at this time that he's going to go to WCW?
There's no other reason to leave.
Right. On
You
November.
only leave if you're going somewhere else, usually.
Well, I don't know.
Usually.
Get out of the business for a while.
Yeah, but if you know Randy and how he was taught by his father, he never pass up a fucking paycheck.
Lanny said to us that what precipitated this was him wanting a match, and Vince, I guess, I don't say it's Vince, someone said to him, "We're going young," and that's how it's going to be now. And he kind of went, "Oh, so I'm done," and then it was kind of like an "I'll show them," and went over to. So was some of this engineered by their reluctance?
Maybe. Yeah. There's always two sides to a story, and you know, I don't think anybody's ever accused Randy Savage of not being an honorable man as far as like, you know, nobody's ever said, "Oh, fucking Randy, can't believe a word he says." Never heard that about him. So, and plus, some of that's just subjective.
Yes.
You know, to a person's emotion. I mean, there's emotions involved.
On November 23rd.
And he fucking really put, like, he watched, you know, the one I did, the you shoot.
Oh,
I think he saw a thing about me talking about him sucking his own dick. Because that, like, when I saw him later that night, he kept talking about that for some reason.
He talked about it with us as well.
He didn't mind it.
No, he did. He went right there. I asked him about his sexuality, and his quote was, "The only penis I've had in my mouth is my own." November 23rd. He doesn't use toilet paper also. I would just like to point that out.
He never set up his ass, did he?
Never did, actually. Matter of fact. Does Kevin know how far this is going to go? Back in the day, they would say, "Well, we expect you to have this. You're going to win. You're going to beat Bob Backlund,
no, they
superstar, and you're going to have it for."
It was open-ended because they were hoping he was going to be the, you know, the next Hogan, the Warrior. Which he wasn't. He was the original Kevin Nash, which is fucking pretty cool too. You don't got to be the next whatever. That's a kiss of death. Anytime somebody's like the new so-and-so, they're fucking dead in the water. The new Midnight Express, you know, shit like that. Oh, you're fucking so dead in the water.
Why the 8 seconds?
Because the match would have been fucking rotten otherwise.
No other way to do it.
No other way to do it.
And Bob would agree to an 8-second match. Again, Bob just seems to be a guy that might be resistant to
And
that.
he sold that fucking thing. I mean, he's still selling it. He's still selling Kev's finish from the fucking Night in the Garden.
A consummate professional.
He put me over in the Garden, Bob did. After all the matches I had with him. Yeah. Fucking, that's what kind of guy Bob is, right? Like, he's like, all these matches I had with him, he was like, one day I'd like to return the favor. And you know, you listen to that, and it's very nice coming from, you know, somebody that's higher up than you know, that you look up to. And you just go, you know, you assume he's just playing lip service, but we're in the Garden, and he goes up to Vince, and he goes, "I want to put the kid over tonight."
Wow, on his own.
Yeah, in the Garden. With the rolling river, O'Connor roll.
What's in the bucket?
Oh, depends on fucking night, dude. It depends on who's getting it.
Do you have any say on what's in the bucket ever?
Sure. Got to say on what I fucking put in there.
That's where I'm going. What's supposed to be in the bucket? Do they just
some oatmeal and different lettuce?
Yeah, it said it looked like oatmeal and shit, but
it was basically what slop they would give to pigs. Because you know, Mark was a pig farmer at one time.
now if someone's in the ring,
You know, and they leave the fucking bucket there and go, "Don't anybody put anything in this bucket."
right?
You know.
So he was a willing
Sure.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah,
Participant.
Yeah, but with plausible deniability.
Correct.
At the same time.
Very, very correct. Who would have gotten an extra ingredient?
I
at
know,
this
honestly, I know one time that people were lining up was Sonny.
time? Lining up.
Yeah, to add to fucking, contribute to the slot bucket.
And did.
I have no idea what people, you could use your fucking imagination.
Right.
I don't think I didn't add to the recipe that night.
You didn't do that. How long does it take to do the tattoos? What are they?
They're stencil, you
Okay, so he puts the stencil on and does real words, letters.
I imagine.
How long? I mean, there's got to be an hour,
Yeah,
hour and a
it's
half.
very painstaking.
Every
yeah.
night?
No, house shows he wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Big Madison Square Garden, Anaheim,
Right.
yeah, but if you were in fucking, Dayton, Ohio, you were getting fucking smudgy fucking Hakushi. Coming to the ring by fucking Akio Sato.
Did you do anything to contribute to his getting the job there?
They had his fucking match in Japan. With
That's
him.
what I was going to say.
Gave
I
him
mean,
the fucking.
right. That's what I was going to answer. So that did it for him?
By the time the Japan tour was over, Brett was wanting to work with him. Taker had already had a match with him. Came out with fucking Taker's head on a stick to the ring. Got a hell of a reaction. Taker gave him some good offense and beat him.
I'd like to point out that your offensive rating on the game for strength is a 4, while Luna Vachon's is a 6. Are you offended by this?
No. I had no idea. Fuck, if I would have just known back then, I might have fucking sent me in a whole different
I was
direction.
going to say, in negotiation,
Career-wise.
it could have come up. Talk about the money associated with video games then. Today, it's a big deal.
I don't remember
This is
there
like
being any-
Super Nintendo, I guess, was the big, or Genesis, Sega Genesis. Is there a big extra check for you guys for this? If you appear in a video game?
Yeah, but I don't remember any huge video game money coming until I got to WCW and got like a $50,000 quarterly check or something.
Right.
My first run WWF was not stellar marketing-wise, for as
I think you were in it, though. Yeah, you were.
yeah, I was
You were
in
there.
I was in the game, but I didn't have great swag. I didn't have good T-shirts or
Right.
merchandise.
Is Jerry a guy that you would have put on the Sarge, Gorilla, Animal,
No.
or on that other side?
In the middle, kind of. More on the other side.
A guy you got along with?
Great, yeah.
The term stooge. It's
It's the worst fucking name you could be called inside the industry. Used to be.
But are they supposed to be one of the boys at this point?
No, but that was on air. Like nobody was going around like fucking stooge, nothing like that.
That was never an
no, it was
industry
more
term?
like the fucking three. Yeah, but they were using it like, Pat and Jerry the Stooges.
Yeah.
More like the Three Stooges.
Just as a character.
Yeah, because honestly, outside of the industry, people don't know stooge means telling on somebody.
No, but within the business, I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard for the agent. If
You
made
can't
an
be.
agent,
You can't be. You can't. It's hard to have your foot in
both sides.
Yeah.
Are you told this expressly by Vince or an agent?
In a group setting, so nobody was singled out.
Anybody you found talking with the other side, you're gone.
I don't recollect those words being used because that would have been. He would have opened himself up for litigation.
Having said this,
Not that he was really too worried about it.
were people still talking to people on the other side?
I don't know. I wasn't.
No.
No. Nope.
Nobody maintained a relationship with like Macho, and we're like, well, how are things over there?
If they did, they kept it on the down low.
Really?
Yeah. Like I said with Lanza and Heenan, I just remember Lanza being like kind of heartbroken,
About the Bobby Heenan situation, yeah. She eventually goes on to get a reputation for herself of not being the most popular person. Is this evident up front, or is this a gradual occurrence?
Gradual, I think. Because, coming in the door, I think most of the guys were just worried about getting in their pants.
Right. A sense of entitlement there on her part?
I don't know about that, but maybe just taking advantage of the situation. Opportunist.
Taking advantage of the situation in that, was she getting special treatment?
Maybe.
From the company?
I don't know, maybe from certain one of the boys, but like...
Well, we know that, but I'm talking about management. Is she getting I know she's getting first class tickets and nobody else is at one point, right?
I don't recollect that. Not while I was
Anyone closer to her here that might confirm that? She'd be given...
Not while I was there.
No? Okay. Be able to sit in on creative production meetings. So you guys weren't seeing any of that?
Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
No, I know.
I guarantee you she wasn't being flown first class around with the other crew, because you would have fucking had a fucking mutiny on the Bounty.
I think what she said was that she would be up there and then she would choose who she would want to
take her seat up front.
Bring up to
which was very smart on her part. And probably suggested to her by one of the other boys. That didn't just go with her. When I first got there, and guys got on the plane and saw me sitting first class for one reason or another. It was, and then I'd go get Fuji or somebody and switch seats with them.
Smart business, huh?
Yeah, it's the right thing to do, too.
Talk about the company's view of UFC at this time. Is it even on the radar? It's certainly not.
Yeah, sort of, and because only because really, like UFC, if you think about it, like it's derived from wrestling. Come on.
Sure.
Even
at that
Brazilian
time, it was
Jiu-Jitsu,
still
like guys like years ago, they went to Wigan and fucking learn a lot of the submissions they use. Because you won't find them in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
Was this Charles who was a fan of it, being out in Las Vegas and stuff, or
I think it was, yeah, sort of, and Taker.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't. I didn't like the gimmick. I like the Papa Shango gimmick way better.
I think he did cool. Too.
Yeah. But he's trying something different. You can't fucking knock a guy for that. And was trying to at least do something that was relevant.
Finally, at the end of 1994, what is starting to happen is, because of the result of everything we've talked about with the lawsuits and everything, they're stripping down business to meet where the demands are. You're working some high school gymnasiums now in the Northeast, and it's coming across almost like a minor league look on
TV.
Raw.
Yeah, from fucking Liberty, New York. Raw, and you could fucking look at a hard camera shot and see what fucking time it was. And the fucking basketball hoops. I never want to see fucking lowered basketball hoops on a fucking wrestling TV show. If you gotta tape it in the gym, fucking raise the basketball hoops. Cover the fucking clock up.
What else is happening as far as scaling down? Like, is catering changing?
Catering, yeah. Obviously, else you wouldn't be asking. Yeah, catering.
I want you to say it.
I know.
No one's gonna pay to listen to me.
Yeah, right. Sorry. I thought we were just having a regular conversation here for a second.
Sometimes it feels like that. But what does catering look like at TV News?
Kind of like TNA's when they first started.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
Got some cold cuts. A
Yeah,
little bit
which
of mustard.
honestly, like, that was the least of my concerns, you know, at that point. Yeah, fine. If you got to cut catering or whatever, I'll bring my own fucking food.
Are you being asked to do more for less?
Yeah.
Is it an angry locker room at the end of 1994?
If it wasn't angry, it was disgruntled for sure. Totally. Yeah.
Well, I thank you for putting some of those long-standing rumors, either confirming or putting them to rest for us about 2004. Thank you for coming clean about the slop bucket, for God's sakes.
I want to, like, I
In
feel like I'm
1994.
fucking not giving you enough here.
You gave me 2 hours and 45 minutes? 41 minutes?
Oh, wow.
So thank you for your journey
it's always a pleasure,
back
Sean.
in time. And thank you.
That's the only reason I still do these with you is because I fucking really enjoy it. I get a lot out of it. Thanks.